नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामिनिति नामिनी। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिनी। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्य देशतारिणे। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितमेन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पदे गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसूते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ईश्वरा परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिरादिर गोविंदा सर्व कारण कारणम। Hare Krishna. By the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, we have successfully finished 26 slokas in the 14th chapter. I welcome all those who are joining for the first time today. So this Bhagavad Gita has got 18 chapters, 700 verses, and I will be spending most of the time going through the important slokas of Bhagavad Gita every day. So that way you won't miss anything actually. Whenever you join this session, you are not going to miss anything. So this Bhagavad Gita itself should be understood completely. The entire Bhagavad Gita, all the 18 chapters and 700 slokas. And wherever we can start, still you won't miss anything, because in the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving us the same concept, the same understanding. Only Arjuna is asking different questions. So that's why, in order to clarify Arjuna's questions, to answer Arjuna's questions, Krishna is actually the same knowledge he is giving in different ways actually. So that's what we need to understand. So what is the same knowledge? The knowledge is actually we are bound in this material world, and we are forced by the modes of nature to act, and we are forced to commit sins by the three modes of material nature and all such things. So, and Krishna is teaching us how to free ourselves from this bondage and actually liberate ourselves from this material world, so that we won't be forced to accept material body, so that we won't be forced to act in this material world. So when we are forced to accept a material body, so that is known as Janma Bandha. So that is known as bondage to birth in this material world. And when we are forced to act in this material world, so that is known as Karma Bandha. So that is bondage to work in this material world. So this Janma Bandha and Karma Bandha, this both are being forced upon us. And why they are being forced upon us? It is because of our ahankara, because of our ignorance, because we are so much attached to this material world. So that's why we are again and again taking birth in this material world and struggling and suffering in this material world. So that way, with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we will be able to very clearly understand that we are not free in this world, even though we can think that we have independence and all such things. But no one is actually independent in this world. Everyone is actually forced. Everyone is actually controlled by the three modes of material nature. So that's what is very important we need to understand. In the third chapter, in one sloka, Arjuna asks the question to Krishna that Atakena prayiktoyam papam charati purushaga anichanapi varsneya baladiva niyojitaka. In the third chapter, sloka number 36, Arjuna asks the question. So by what one is impelled to sinful acts unwillingly, as if engaged by force? That's what he asks. Baladiva niyojitaka. Baladiva niyojitaka means, balad means by force. So that is atakena prayaktoyam papam charati purushakam. So a person who is actually doesn't want to commit sins, but still something is forcing him to commit sins. So that's why anichan. Anichan means without our desire. We don't want. Anichan api varshneya. So anichan means I don't want to commit sins. I know it is a sinful act and I don't want to do this act. I don't want to commit sin. But Arjuna is asking the question here that anichanapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaka. So something is forcing us to commit sins. So it's a very important technical question, very scientific question we need to understand. Every one of us actually is facing this problem every day, every moment. In all our activities, we know that it is not a good thing to do. We know that it's a very sinful act to do, but still we will do it because we are forced to do it. So that science we need to understand from this Bhagavad Gita very well. So that's why Krishna teaches what is that enemy, but at the end, after answering in the next 7 slokas in the 3rd chapter, at the end, Krishna is teaching Arjuna that Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmanaga jahi satru mahabaho kamarupam durasava. So now understanding all these things, you control your mind and conquer your enemy. That's what is very important. So samstabhyatmanam atmanaga jahi satru mahabaho kamarupam durasava. So samstabhyatmanam atmanaga means you control your mind. Make your mind as your best friend so that you can conquer your enemy. Jahi satru mahabahu. And what its form? The form of our enemy is actually kama. Kama rupam durasam. So that's what is the form of our enemy. It's uncontrollable. So this kama. So that is the form of, that is the rupa. So that is the form of our enemy. So kama means what? The uncontrolled desires. So that's what is kama. So we are so much attached to this material world, material sense objects, and then we immediately come under the control of the mode of passion, the rajoguna. So when we are controlled by the mode of rajoguna, the mode of passion, so because from the rajoguna, this kama and krodha, so they are produced. So the lust and anger, so they are produced from the rajoguna. So that's why Krishna says that Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kamayesha Krodayesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaka Mahasano Mahapapma Vidyenam Ihavairinam. So there is Kama and Krodha. Kamayesha Krodayesha. There is lust and anger. So Rajoguna Samudbhavaka. They are produced from Rajoguna. So Rajoguna Samudbhavaka. And they are great, all-devouring, sinful enemy. Mahasano, Mahapapma, Vidyena Miga, Vairi. Vairi means enemy. So Vairina. So that's what Krishna is teaching us in Bhagavad Gita very clearly, that this Kama and Krodha, the lust and anger, they are our enemies. And they are forcing us to act. They are forcing us to commit sins. And where they sit in our body, like if we have this virus, we know that where it goes, the virus gets into the body, the cells, and we know that where it goes and sits and multiplies and creates trouble. So like that, this Kama and Krodha, where they sit, Kama is the virus. It's basically, it's Krishna is saying that Indriyani mano. So asyadhisthana uchyate. So that is mind, senses, and so these are all the sitting places. Intelligence. Indriyani mano buddhir. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhisthana uchyate. Etaihi vimohayati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. So Indriyani mano buddhir. Indriyani means senses. Mano mind, buddhir intelligence. So senses, mind, and intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. So that's what Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhisthanam uchyati. Etaihi vimohayati esa jnanam avritya dehinam. So it confuses us. So it puts under illusion. So that's why by covering our knowledge. So that's what jnanam avritya. Jnanam avritya means by covering our knowledge. So it actually, because when we are ignorant, when we have no knowledge, so then we are confused. So then we are actually like fools in this world. We act like a machine, robots. So we are forced. So that science we need to understand, that every day, every moment, in each and every action, whatever we do, we are not doing anything. That's what is very important science we understand from Bhagavad Gita. The soul is not the doer. The soul is not doing anything. We are not doing anything. But what is doing everything? Our swabhava. So there is the three modes of material nature. So our swabhava is produced from the three modes of material nature. Swabhava, prabhavair, gunai. So because when we are affected by the rajoguna, they are very highly contagious. There is no mask or 6 feet distance, safe distance. Nothing is going to stop these three modes of material nature affecting us. The only way we can stop these modes of nature is only Hare Krishna Mahamantra, thinking Krishna, getting this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and focusing our mind on Krishna. So that is the only way we can actually safeguard our mind from this kama and krodha, basically lust and anger, basically the rajoguna. So they are rajoguna samudbhavaga. So they are produced from the rajoguna. So in order to protect us from this virus, so which is affecting us, which is highly contagious, the only immunization, the only safeguard what we can do is actually focus our mind on Krishna. So fix our mind on Krishna. So get this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So when we have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, like in this pandemic, we have the knowledge that how it spreads. And so we can avoid it. So we can avoid it by doing face masks and by these various other procedures, whatever we can do, we can actually escape from getting ourselves infected by this virus. So like that, here we can avoid, we can stop it. We can stop it by actually, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by focusing our mind on Krishna, by getting this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. So this is the only way we can actually protect ourselves from these three modes of material nature, and we can conquer our enemy. So it's actually, we can conquer our enemy. Jahi Satru Mahabahu Kamarupam Durasam. So what happens in this today's, actually in this pandemic also, many people, they die actually not because of the virus. The people die mainly because of our own immune system is actually overacting. So that's what overreaction of that. So cytokine storm, so that's what they say. So because our immune system starts attacking our own cells, so that's what we die because of this pandemic, all these issues actually. So similarly, if the mind is our own mind, our mind is with us, but if our mind is affected by this kama and krodha, basically this mode of rajoguna, the mode of passion, so that is what it's going to do. So it will make our mind as our enemy. So then our mind itself will bring us so much trouble, and we will be destroyed. We will be suffering. We will be struggling. We will be basically under distress at all point of time. Because what is happiness? Happiness is simply the status of our mind. If our mind is very, very peaceful, so then we will be very happy. If our mind is disturbed, then we are not at all happy. So that way, if we protect our mind from these kinds of viruses, basically this, because the indriyani manobuddhir asyadhisthana muchyate yetair vimohayati esa jnanam avritya deganam. So that's why Krishna is teaching us in Bhagavad Gita that you make your mind as your best friend. So that's what we do it. So when we take the medicine, so that makes sure that our immune system is not overreacting and affecting us. So that's why you take steroids. So all those things helps. So like that, here we need to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so then our mind actually will become our friend. Actually, with our mind, we can actually conquer our enemy. So our enemy is Kama and Krodha. So that's why Jahi Satru Mahabahu Kama Rupam Durasanam. So that way our mind should not be focusing on the material sense objects. Our mind should focus only on Krishna. If that happens in our life, so that is the happiest situation one can achieve. Happiest position, actually. So our mind will become very peaceful. Our mind will become our friend. So one can actually elevate oneself with the mind, and also one can degrade himself. Because mind is friend as well as enemy. Uddaret atmanatmanam, natmanam avasade. Atmaiviga atmano bandhur, atmaiva ripur. So the mind is friend as well as enemy. So that's why Krishna is teaching us in the 6th chapter, 6th sloka, Bandhuratmat atmanastasya yenatmaiva atmanajitaha anatmanastu satrutve vatetatmaiva satruvat. So the mind is actually bandhur when it is controlled. So that means our friend. So for a person who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, the mind will remain the worst enemy. So that's why Bandhuratmat Atmanastasya Yenatmaiva Atmanajitaga Anatmanastu Satrutve Vartetatmaiva Satruvatam. If we don't control our mind, Anatmanastu, then it will become our Satru. So Anatmanastu Satrutve. Anatmanastu Satrutve means if we don't control our mind will become our enemy. Satru. Satru means our enemy. So that way, then we won't be peaceful at all. We will be always struggling and suffering in this material world. So now we know the formula to achieve peace of mind. So Krishna is asking Arjuna a question and also answering. In that question itself, answer is there. So asantasya kutasukam. Nasti buddhirayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavanaha nacha abhavayataha santir ashantasya kutasukam. So when a person who has no knowledge of this Bhagavad Gita, when a person is ignorant, who is not connected with Krishna, who is not able to perform this yoga, this Bhagavad Gita is the yoga, so that means who is not able to control his mind. So that's what Nasti Buddhi Ayuktasya. So Ayuktasya means when a person is not connected with Krishna, not having the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, so he will lose intelligence. So Buddhinaso Pranasyati. So that's what Nasti Buddhi. Nasti Buddhi means intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, Nasti Buddhi Ayuktasya. Also when we are not connected with Krishna, Nacha Ayuktasya Bhavana. So Ayuktasya Na Bhavana. So that means when we are not connected with Krishna, when we are not able to regulate our senses, when we are not able to regulate our mind, so that means our mind is not steady. So that's why Ayuktasya Na Bhavana. So Na Bhavana. So Nacha Abhavayataha Shanti. So that means Abhavayataha Na Shanti. So Abhavayataha Na Shanti means when our mind is not steady, so there is no peace of mind. So that's what Abhavayataha Na Shanti. Nacha Abhavayataha Shanti. Ashantasya Kutasukam. When our mind is not peaceful, then where from happiness comes? That's what Krishna is asking. Where from happiness comes? So happiness means we can get only when our mind is peaceful. And when our mind can be peaceful, if you just go backwards in this sloka, when our mind can be peaceful, only when our mind is steady. And when our mind is steady, so we need to be performing, we need to be acting as per the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So we should be, that is what I call yukta. So that is yatha viniyadam chittam atmanyevavattistate nisprigaga sarva kamebhyo yukta ityuchyate tata. So one who is able to bring all our thoughts, bring his thoughts, yatha viniyatam, one who is able to regulate, one who is able to control all the thoughts, yatha viniyatam chittam atmanyevavattistate. One who is able to keep everything under the control of the self. Atmanyevavattistate nisprigaga sarva kamebhyo yukta ityuchyate tata. So nisprigaga, without any desires, sarva kamebhyo, free from all desires. Nisprigaga sarva kamebhyo yukta ityuchyate tata. So at that point of time, he is known as yukta. So that means he is able to regulate everything. He is able to control everything. So otherwise it is called ayukta. So that's why nasti buddhi ayuktasya. So that means when we don't have happiness, means we don't have peace of mind. We don't have peace of mind means our mind is not steady. So that means we are not acting as per Bhagavad Gita. So that means we don't have intelligence. So that means we don't have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. We are not able to act as per Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. So that time, if we study Bhagavad Gita, understand Bhagavad Gita fully and follow Bhagavad Gita, what all Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita fully, so that means we are going to gain intelligence and we are going to get peace of mind, steady mind, and we are going to get peace of mind, and we are going to get ultimate real happiness, inner happiness, which we can actually enjoy unlimitedly. Sukham akshayam asnute. So the happiness what we get when our mind is under control, so that inner happiness, actually you can enjoy unlimitedly. So there is no end to it. Whereas the so-called material happiness, which is very flickering. So it has beginning and end, and which you cannot enjoy forever, and it brings distress. So that way, this Bhagavad Gita knowledge is a very, very important science. So this is Raja Vidya, the king of knowledge, and it is Raja Guhya, the king of secrets. So Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya, Pavitram, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram, the purest knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadusam pavitramiga vidyate. There is no other knowledge which is purer than this Bhagavad Gita. So this Bhagavad Gita is the purest knowledge. So nahi jnanena sadusam pavitramiga vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaga kalenatmani vindati. So when we get this knowledge, so when we purify ourself, our soul, Atma Suddha. So if we are able to purify ourselves with this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, so then we are going to enjoy. So that's what Kalena Atmani Vindati. So in the 14th chapter, we studied in the 26th sloka, Krishna taught us yesterday that how to free ourselves from the three modes of material nature. Krishna taught us very, very clearly that Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So one who is able to always render devotional service unto me without any fail, without any break, so he will be able to free from the three modes of material nature. Sagunan samatititan and Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, and he will actually attain the Brahman platform. So Brahma Bhuyaya means we are eligible to go to Krishna's well. So that is the spiritual well. So Krishna's well, in the next sloka, the last sloka in the 14th chapter, this 27th sloka, Krishna is continuing that Brahmano hi pratistaham amritasya avyayasya cha sasvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya kanti tasya cha. So that's what Krishna is teaching us. So that means Krishna is creator. So the basis, pradishta. So Krishna is saying that aham. So aham means myself. So I created this Brahman. So Krishna, Brahman is actually Krishna's well. Krishna's, that is spiritual well. So that's why we belong to Krishna's well. So that's why we are also known as Brahman. And Krishna is also known as Brahman. And many times he is also referred as Parabrahman. So Krishna is the supreme Brahman. So because he is the Paramatma, we are Atma, Krishna is Paramatma. So that way Krishna is teaching here about Krishna's well. If we achieve that platform, the Brahman platform, that is known as Brahma Bhuta. When we are in this material well, we are actually Jiva Bhuta. So Jiva Bhuta means we belong to, we actually, we are in this material well. So when we actually free ourselves from this material bondage, that means we ourselves free from the three modes of material nature by studying this Bhagavad Gita, following all the instructions given by Krishna. So then we will be able to elevate ourselves to the Brahman level. So that's what is called Brahma Bhuta platform. So if we are able to become a Brahman, we elevate ourselves to that Brahman level, so then we don't have to again come back to this material well. We will not be forced to accept another body in this temporary miserable well, because we are freed from the three modes of material nature. That's why in this chapter itself, 3-4 slokas before, Krishna taught us, maybe 7-8 slokas before, Krishna taught us that that nanyam gunebhyah kartaram yatha drashtanupasyati gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam soadhigachati. That's what Krishna taught us. This sloka number 20 or 21 in the sloka, I believe in the 19th sloka. So nanyam gunebhyah kartaram yatha drashtanupasyati gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam soadhigachati. Yeah, in the 14th chapter, 19th sloka. So that means they will attain my nature. Madbhavam soadhigachati. So that means when we are actually freed from the three modes of material nature by rendering devotional service unto Krishna, so bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatite, then madbhavam soadhigachati. We will attain Krishna's nature. So that means we'll go to Brahman platform. So we'll go to Krishna's well, spiritual well. So that's why Krishna is talking about his well. That is Amrita. Amrita means this material well is Mrityu. Mrityu samsara sagram. Mrityu means here death. Death is certain. So that's why even in the many times Krishna is referring to this material world as mrityu. So even in the 9th chapter also, in the 3rd sloka, Krishna says there, Asraddadana Purushaka Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. So those who have no faith on this Dharma, this Bhagavad Gita, they cannot come to me. They will come back to this Mrityu, this place where their death is certain. Whereas if you go to Krishna's place, there is Amirtyu, Amirta. Amirta means there is no death. So it is immortal. That's what Amirtasya. And Avyayasya. Avyayasya means it's imperishable. Both are same, immortal, imperishable, and which is permanent, Sasvatasya. So which is eternal. So whereas in this material world, Krishna is teaching us, Krishna is saying that this is Anitya, means it's temporary. It is Asasvatam. Asasvatam means it's temporary. Whereas Krishna's well is actually, it is Sasvatam. So that's why if you go to Krishna's well, so Matprasada Tavapnoti Sasvatam Padam Avyam. So by my mercy, you will attain the Sasvatam Padam. Sasvatam Padam means the permanent abode. So when we are able to do all our work for Krishna, Sarva Karmani Api Sada Kruvano Madhya Pashegam. When you are able to do all work only for me, so then by my mercy, you will attain the permanent abode. So that's what Matprasada Tavapnoti Sasvatam Padam Avyam. That's what here Krishna is teaching us, Sasvatasya. Whereas this material world is Dukkale Masasvatam. Mamupetya Kaunteya Punarjanma Dukkale Masasvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmanas Samsiddhim Paramambati. If anyone comes to my place, then they will not come back to this temporary miserable world. So we need to go to Krishna's abode. So that's what Sasvatasya Dharmasya. So there is full of Dharma. Everything is righteous there. So there is no adharma at all. So that's what Dharmasya and Sukhasya Tasya. So there is Sukhasya Ikanti. Whereas this material well is Dukkhalayam. This is Dukkhalayam. Whereas Krishna's well is Sukhasya Tasya. There is only happiness. So we need to go to a place which is immortal, which is imperishable, which is eternal, and which is full of happy, and which is our constitutional position. So that's why Krishna is teaching us that, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So now in order to go there, in order to realize ourselves and go to Krishna as well, we need to connect with Krishna. So that means we need to control our mind. Only by controlling our mind, only we can go to Krishna. There is no other way. And only by studying this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, we will be able to develop that love towards Krishna, and we will be able to control our mind. So by Krishna's causeless mercy, we have successfully finished one sloka today, especially the 14th chapter. And now let us start controlling the mind. Let us chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one round. So that is 108 times. So when we chant, just focus on that sound vibration. Don't think about anything else. Wherever our mind goes, bring it back and again fix it on that sound vibration. That's it. We need to understand. Remember that this sound vibration. And sit straight. Don't look at any other directions. So sit straight so that our body, neck and head are in the straight line. And don't look at any other directions. And simply chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra